That's a lot on him. And I get talking about my son a little bit, but it's wrestling. I mean, we have so many parents out there that are going through it that, their kids have that same feeling, and they're trying to figure out okay, what do I say to them? And sometimes you don't say anything. You just sit in it with them. And, I saw a lot of that underneath, because you go and, hey, I go and, man, wanted to give him a hug after, and, hey, man, love you. And now your job is to be the best teammate possible. But, I mean, you go around and you kind of see, like, these camps. And I'll bring up Freeman again, because I walked around the corner, and I got to see him and talk to him a little bit. And you don't make anything better in the moment. You just make sure that they understand that you really care about them and you're proud. But, man, I think there was 9 coaches that I went around the corner, and they all had their head down. They're all just sitting in it with him. I mean, that is this sport. That is this sport. I don't know if there's any sport, and obviously I'm biased, that builds bonds like this, that builds a connection like that. I mean, how much you sacrifice together. And there's so much physical sacrifice with it, but the mental sacrifices too. And I think that's the other piece that people have to understand is, what they gave up and then what they didn't get. They gave up a lot of things on the other side of it. So right now it's like, is it worth it? And that's what I think everyone has to ask themselves. Is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to give up? Okay, maybe I'm giving up going out with my buddies. Okay, maybe maybe I want to do this instead, or I want to eat this instead, or I want to not go to bed, or I want to do these things and not be disciplined. Everyone's trying to decide if that's worth it. To feel this pain, holy shit, is it worth it? And I'm going to tell you this, it's worth it there's a few explicatives I would say. It's worth it every time. It's worth it every time because of what it gets you to understand about yourself, the resolve and perseverance that it teaches, that I think that we sometimes shy away from as individuals, and sometimes, even as parents, we want to shield our kid from it. So I wouldn't take that loss. I wouldn't take any of his losses from him, because I know what it's going to make him. I know how he's going to respond. I know how he's already done that, and that couldn't be prouder as a parent. And I could talk about it all day. I don't know if anyone even wanted to ask that question. I don't really care, because I got the mic and I get to talk. But I know it's always fitting for this time of year, though. And I know there's a lot of parents out there that they're hurting, and I understand the hurt. And I guess the last thing I'll say is, you never try to minimize it for them. Oh, man, it's not that big a deal. Well, you know what? In the moment, it is a damn big deal. Now, in the grand picture of life and death and calling all those things, I don't agree with that, but they've given up a lot to have that opportunity. And I think everyone recognizes that, and that's why they appreciate it, and that's why, when they see how they compose themselves and handle themselves, and, man, holy cow, when you got to go back out there and stand in that sand 10 minutes after you've lost, that's a really humbling experience. But, man, would you rather be there and the man in the arena and having that opportunity? I think so, absolutely. So I'll stop talking, and anybody got any questions? The guy that consistently